Here we go.
Secret House.
Secret House.
Secret House against the world, baby.
Secret
It's your
House.
boy DJ L Spade
Secret House.
with Jet Axel on the
Secret
left,
House.
and in the middle, as always, the homie Mega.
Yeah, we're a Secret House.
Secret House.
You know how
Secret
it
House.
is. Welcome back, and man, today we're going to be reviewing the newest album from Mach Hommy, which is called Album Balens Cho.
Balens
Balens
Cho.
Cho.
Okay, see, I don't know how to freak.
We'll talk about it a little more in the
Okay.
review, but I speak French, and I was approaching this as a French speaker, but there's a lot of Haitian Creole in there.
Haitian Creole.
Yeah.
Shout out to my peoples.
I understand like maybe 50%.
Oh, okay.
So like even the title, like okay, chaud, chaud means hot in French. It is spelt differently, but you know the album's Hot Candles.
Right.
But balance, I don't know how you pronounce it. That is, as far as I'm aware, not a word in French.
Okay.
So I don't know
You know,
what
I
the
think-
origin of that is. For
I think,
example.
you know, speaking of Mach, you know, he's a Haitian American, I think. I think he was born in Haiti, grew up in Haiti, and then he moved from New Jersey, where he kind of came into himself. But he speaks some type of Haitian
Creole, yes.
dialect, right? And even people that are from there even have a difficult time understanding what he's saying at times. And I guess maybe it be like that.
My granddad's Haitian Creole. I don't know what the hell he be saying
Yeah.
at all.
I know a Haitian. Shout out to my man Marvell. Peace, Brooklyn. But yeah. This is the newest project, the second project of the year from Mach Hommy. I think, you know, I'll just say I'm very familiar with Mach Hommy. I've been a fan since probably like Dollar Menu 2, which came out maybe 2017, and I randomly stumbled across it. So since then, I've listened to a majority of his projects that I could get my hands on. He's notoriously difficult to get some of his music, especially on the streaming services. But I really enjoy Pray for Haiti this year, and this is another project from him that I like. Are y'all real familiar with Mach?
I've been a fan for maybe about a year or so now. I liked a lot of his features and some of his work with other artists. Like when he's on the God Fahim and
Right, consistent collaborators. They're homies. They're posse.
And yeah, I liked Pray for Haiti a lot. And now we're on to this one.
Word.
First time hearing about him. First time listening to it, and
I thought we
I was
reviewed,
coming in hot.
I thought we reviewed Pray for Haiti, and apparently we just didn't.
No.
I definitely listened to that album a bunch with the intention of reviewing it. So I wonder if that was
okay.
something.
Thank you guys for putting me on new music. Like, seriously, man. Like,
Secret House.
if I don't
surprised-
say it, thank you
Secret
guys.
House.
I'm surprised you hadn't heard of Mach because he's been. I mean, like some of his biggest like I guess mentions in like the public rap. Jay-Z is a huge fan of Mach.
Oh, really?
Jay-Z loves Mach's music, and you know I think he supports Mach's approach to music. Like if you didn't know, Mach, he's the type of cat who he's selling albums for like $1,000. He'll create 100 and sell $1,000.
Nipsey strategy.
Yeah, well, I mean he's
Okay.
right on that same vein. Him and like Droog, Euro Droog, approach Genius and have them pull all of the lyrics because they said that's their intellectual IP,
I
which is
dig that.
ill. I support
Yeah,
it.
I
I think
dig
that's.
that.
I mean, it kind of sucks for us, but I mean, I'm almost 40 years old, and I remember having to listen
Right.
to get the lyrics and shit. But yeah, he's really dope in that regard.
I mean, like, DJs can't count BPMs.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
yo,
people used to do that.
oh, I gotta use a detector.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I
okay.
mean, it makes it, you know, it changes the dynamic of it. But yeah, I like to pull up Genius and read rap lyrics along when I can, which is what I did with the other album we're going to review
See,
today.
as a rapper myself, not trying to be that guy, I try to not find out who's popping because as a writer, I feel like if you listen to somebody too much and get too in depth, your style starts to morph into their style.
Sure.
So I try to like intently listen, but trying to detach myself too. So
And he very much does have like a lot of people who are approaching rap with his similar aesthetic, like him and the Griselda cats, and even Mike and Earl and all of these cats who are kind of the new boom bap aesthetic, right? It's still very much rooted in sample based hip hop, unique, authentic lyricism that is the contrast of mainstream rap.
I'll wait till we get into it then say that. Or can I say it now?
Well, like before we talk about like the particulars of like why we like the album or not, like what are your general thoughts on his style, like and his? Well, I mean, I guess it's just me and you.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I think he really elegantly skirts that line between being an outsider and like a weirdo, while also making like fun and quite accessible music. And he raps well. And at the same time, he'll go off into his Haitian Creole. I like how he represents Haiti so much. I like the way he talks about colonialism and, how colonialism really, really paints this album. I think what he's doing is dope. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I would say I also enjoy him. He occupies a kind of a weird space for me in terms of the artists that I like. I feel like he's kind of this balance between like Ghostface and Jay-Z for me. Whereas like he's got a lot of tracks where he talks about this upscale elegance and high art, high fashion, and things that are kind of more in a Jay-Z type of lane, but he's also extremely idiosyncratic in his own style and very eloquent with his writing. He's not a complex writer, but at the same time he gets street and he's tied to the street through a lot of his heritage and some of the things that he expresses in his music, such as, being Haitian and also there's a mystique to him for him always covering his face. It puts him in this weird place.
Oh, that's his thing?
I've never seen his,
I saw
I've never
pictures
seen
like,
his
why
face.
is this? I thought he just
Always has a
gang
flag over
gang.
his face.
Flag or
Because the bandana, I'm like, oh, gang gang?
No,
What
I
we
mean,
doing?
it's Haitian gang.
Ah.
It's Haiti gang. And I find it dope that he kind of creates this kind of distance between himself and his audience. And he's an artist to me in a way that like is a little bit different than the Griselda guys who have wanted to rise. I think Mach could have a lot of those same opportunities, signing with the Jay-Z or with the cosigns he gets from a person like Jay-Z. He could have a lot of those opportunities, but he's very rooted in this underground, grimy aesthetic, and he's got his people, the Fahim, and a lot of this underground essence that Ghostface kind of always encapsulates versus a Jay-Z. So I do like him as an MC. Let's go into the album. What do you think?
Spade.
I mean,
I'll tell you.
What do you think? What do you think about him as a rapper?
Oh man, undeniably, man, this dude can rap his ass off. Anybody who say this dude can't rap, you just a knuckle dragging, bottom feeding hater. Think about killing yourself, because dude can rap his ass off. Like seriously, there is no weak spots in the man's rap delivery, vocal tone. I listened to this like a couple times trying to pick out some hate, but I couldn't.
Pick out some hate.
I could not pick out any hate when it comes to his lyrics. The only problem I had aesthetically with the album was some of the beats become one tone and it's the same thing. And I'm like, yo, dude, you beating the hell out of these samples, which I'm not knocking anybody who does sample-based music, because there is an art form to picking out a good sample and looping that junk. But I was just like, dude,
not
too
feeling
much.
these.
Well, not feeling it, but it was like, it teetered. I'm glad this album was like 24 minutes, because if it was
very
longer
short.
than that, it would have like outstayed its welcome. But because it was like 25 around that area, it didn't overstay its welcome. Along with the skits in between the interludes,
right.
which really draw it together. So it's a solid album. The only weak spot for me was like some of the tracks.
Huh.
I have really mixed feelings on the skits.
Same.
Like the
Really?
well,
I don't understand what they're tying together. I mean there's a general.
It's got this kind of colonialist kind of vibe to it. I mean, obviously the album is called Hot Candles. The first interlude, the first track of the album is La Première Bougie, which is like the first candle.
There's like
then
first, second, third,
La
and fifth
Deuxième,
candle,
La
right?
Troisième, the second, the third, the fourth.
I had to Google that. I was like, I don't know what these words mean.
Yeah. So it's the number of candles. And I don't know exactly what the candles represent. I did some searching and I couldn't come to like a definitive answer. I did find a really interesting article about how women in Haiti who, might not have any real opportunities have started making money by making candles. Like they make like beeswax candles, and apparently that's like a source of income for a lot of Haitian families, is these women make candles. So I wondered if maybe that was something to do with it.
Yeah.
But the interludes, they all come from the perspective of like a white interloper,
Right.
coming into Haiti. It's all like, we want to send you down to, and
Right.
it's like,
Sounds
this
like
kind
some
of transatlantic
1950s, 1940s
Right,
type
right.
of. I just
and-
didn't understand like a lot of the things they're saying on is like, oh, okay, Haiti, but I wasn't sure what type of statement he was trying to make with that in terms of them being candles.
I put it down to just like mood. and tone.
Yeah.
I thought time length, showing how Haiti became that. A candle burns slowly, and it's showing how it goes there, like time significance. But that could have been just me. Maybe I'm overthinking it or not thinking it at all.
Maybe there's a really obvious solution. If anybody knows, feel free to let us
yes,
know in the comments.
hit me up.
He tends to do that though. A lot of his music, it tends to make you kind of have to figure like, what is this Haitian term that he's saying? Well, what does it mean, and how does it tie into like a general vibe? This is like, if this is the only Mach that you've heard, his other albums sound drastically different. Pray for Haiti. Pray for Haiti sounds much different than this. You probably like it more.
It bangs.
Yeah,
it bangs
you probably
more.
like it more. This reminds me of like an older Mach, like a Mach 3 years ago.
How old is dude?
No, I mean just in terms of the way his style is developed and his music is kind of progressed. It kind of feels more down to the roots. It feels dusty. It feels very personal in a way that his other shit.
This is where I'm kind of interested that you're really into his rapping, but you didn't like the production on the record so much.
Not really.
I thought like Nicholas Craven is all over this, and then like Conductor Williams produces the last track on there. Like,
isn't the God Fahimov Money Magnet?
God Fahim's on there. And I thought the production was sick.
I like it
really
a lot.
like the production.
I do too.
It's really dirty and dusty, and it's like pretty bizarre in places. Like the sample on Money Magnets, which is this weird
beat.
like drone kind of
beat.
thing, and I don't know exactly what it is. It's like some kind of synthesizer, I guess, like an analog synth. And I thought that shit was dope. The bread sample on Self La, they sample I think Everything I Own.
Sam Gendel.
Sam Gendel's playing sax on there.
He's
incredible.
the second best. He's the best feature on the album for me. I mean, there's only like one other, right? It's like God Fahim, which I like. I like the way his voice cuts through that beat, but the Sam Gendel fucking like the last end of it, it's beautiful. It's fucking great. For people who have Spotify, and I don't know if it's Spotify in the States, but when I was listening to the album and looking up the credits, it says every single track on the album is produced by Mach Hommy on the Japanese Spotify. And so I was like, I didn't know that. Yeah,
really?
But it doesn't say Nicholas Craven. It doesn't say anybody else. I realized that when I was looking. I was reading an album release like note about it, trying to figure out what the title was about, and it says like these tracks were produced by these people. But yeah,
I mean, you hear the producer tags on there,
right? But that's the thing. It's like I thought, like, is it a
it
collaboration?
does.
All of them obviously. Right at the beginning,
Conductor,
like
which is a great DJ tag, producer tag.
But yeah, I mean, maybe he was also involved in the production. I think that would explain why it's pretty cohesive production-wise.
Or maybe just uploaded it wrong. I've done that too. Like,
yeah, seriously. I mean, sometimes like the liner notes on digital versions can be wrong. My friend's band, they all perform under stage names and they're completely anonymous. And then when you check the lyrics on like their latest split tape, like it just has all of their real names on it. Sometimes these things get fucked up. So it could be that. It could be him. I don't know. But I really like the beats on this record.
I do too. And one of the reasons I think I like it is like earlier when I mentioned Jay-Z, one of the things that I like about following Mach is because there's like a trajectory and an artistry behind all of his releases and how they grow and how he changes and approaches things differently. This album really does sit differently than a lot of his other work in terms of the production and some of the lyrical content.
Sure, yeah.
That I just didn't really get from other albums like Bulletproof Love or you name it. Like Pray for Haiti has got a lot of Julius Snable near Van Gogh's grave, like art reference, like all this high art type of shit and a little bit more bougie. Yeah. Which this album doesn't. It has those things, but like, what is it? Wooden Nickels, where it's like a really personal,
hard as hell. That's my favorite one, actually.
Beautiful personal story about his grandfather. It's like, and it
I owe him, I don't owe you. I'm like, bro, it hit hard. I'm like,
it's one of the more beautiful. I can't, I listen to a lot of Mach, but it's not like ingrained in my head like some of other artists. But I can't really remember a time where there was anything even close to being that kind of personal and insightful as to why he has a particular approach to his economics and his willingness to help people and shit. And it's beautiful. It's dope. The production on it is
pretty solid on that track. Yes,
it's songs like that make me feel like I potentially like this more than Pray for Haiti. which Pray for Haiti was going to be on my top 10 album list. I really enjoyed it.
Funny you say that. I was gonna put this on my top 10 album list.
I think
This
it's
album.
good.
I'll go out on a limb and say I like this more than Pray for Haiti, and I like Pray for Haiti, but this is my favorite Mach Hommy so far.
I might have like that new car smell blind, like the blinders
sure,
on right now. It's like
sure.
fresh. I
Honeymoon
got
period.
recency bias for it. But man,
It's a good album.
I tend not to like a lot of God Fahim's shit, but I actually really enjoy his feature on this and the way that his voice
cuts really
cuts
nicely.
through that
Yeah,
beat.
yeah.
That shit is dope to me, though. Self-love is kind of like,
So
bruh, I kind of hate when people be like, you just got to eat better.
I
It's
know,
like,
right?
all
You
right,
ain't
I get
shit.
it. Why are you talking shit to me, dog?
better.
I'm the one in the...
Yeah, I had really mixed feelings on that song because I feel like he's like 90% of the way there. Like, I think
You're talking about moving towards the left.
yes,
Yeah.
like there is an understanding that you need to take a rest. You can't be burning yourself out and working your ass off constantly all the time. And like, it's bad for your body to be doing that. And we live in a society where like
You're more than a neoliberal subject.
Right, you're a subject, and you're just expected to just give your body for this thing, and then you use up all your rest time to recuperate, to go back to work. But he also kind of, which is weird because he mentions like material conditions being responsible for crime and violence on other tracks on the album, but it doesn't actually seem to come up in the track that like a lot of people's lives suck, and that's why people eat like shit and don't look after themselves.
Especially a person aware of Haiti's history.
Sure.
Through slave revolts, first successful slave revolt.
Shout out to Haiti for that.
You would think that it would connect.
I think maybe he's talking to a specific person, maybe somebody in his team or somebody he has beef with or something, because he talks a lot about wearing Fendi and then going to Wendy's and eating gas station hot dogs in
Which
the
is
back of a
hard.
Bentley.
Yeah, I thought it was hard though.
And obviously that's just
Like,
not
are you talking about me, Ma? I was like, I be doing the hot dogs.
I think
obviously not in a Bentley though. And so this is the thing, like he's obviously talking about people who do have the money to have a nutritionist and go see the dentist every week.
I don't think so, man. I think
I
I'm
don't
being too hard on Mach, dog.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying in his defense, I don't think he's talking to like people from the streets, like people who are poor and like can't afford to do these things. I think he's talking about other rappers here. And he's saying that, people he knows who have the means to look after themselves don't do it. And that's my reading of the song. And I think that's how I can be most charitable about it.
I don't think so, man. I think it was just basic instructions, bro. Like, I took it as like, everybody should know how to do this. Now, whether you can or not is a different discussion. Like, we can talk about like people not having the means and all this terrible food being subsidized and how people can't really eat healthy. To eat healthy tends to cost more than eat like
Food
garbage.
deserts.
We can talk about that. And that's a valid point. However, that does not erase the point that a lot of folks die as shit. And a lot of people don't know that.
For sure. Especially if you got black genetics.
Yes.
It's like,
You already against the 8 balls. But I feel like the only problem with that song was it's not going to get to the people who really need to hear that message. That's my only thing.
I think for me more it's like a personal thing. Like I kind of hate those type of tracks sometimes,
Yeah.
but he does it well. It actually sits with me. Not it don't sit with me like as good as Separation of the Sheeps and the Goats, but it's a good song, and I think it's good to hear him talk about something that means
Something
at
that
least
means something. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I
you don't get that from fucking Fly God.
I just
You don't
love
get that from
the
West Side
way
Gun.
I
You
just
don't.
love.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just love the way the beat comes in when it just starts with the sample from the bread track, and then you have the little gentle acoustic guitars and the vocals. It's very stripped back, and then like the bass and the synths all come in at once, and it's just like, and I really liked that. Like Conductor Williams fucking nailed it on that beat.
It's fire.
I just don't think, once again, the mass public, I didn't know about this dude until y'all put me on. So I feel like I'm like John Everyman. A lot of people probably ain't gonna know about this album, and that's the only problem I have with the song. I don't feel like everybody will hear this, and more people need to talk about this basic stuff. Like basic knowledge needs to get out there, dude. And I'm glad that he made the song.
He's kind of was right there with early Griselda, and they were actually working together all the time. God Fahim and Conway and West Side Gun, and this is even before Benny was even on a lot of the tracks. But there was a beef, a conflict for some degree, and that's where they split.
Oh,
and,
man.
and it's almost like a Tyler Earl situation where Mach and Fahim went underground and they kept it dusty, grimy, and weird while still espousing the shit that they were, and then West Side Gun is writing songs
Let me get
about
with Shady.
have Virgil write brick on my brick type of shit. So, but both of them are really interested in that same kind of high art. Like they, you know, like they be talking about artists and shit in places I don't even really know in fashion. When I listen to West Side Gun, it's almost, I might as well be listening to French Creole because I fucking don't know what some of these brands are. He be talking about Fear of God, Jagga Rock. You know what I mean? I'm like, what is essential? I don't know. But Mach is an artist that I think that most of us should look out for if you're a hip hop head.
Yeah, I think you should.
There's an integrity there that I really appreciate about him, and also his grind. He's an outsider in the mainstream industry, and I think that's why casual fans, you know, people who are busy living their lives don't really find him until somebody pokes him in the eye with him.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Happened to me. Thanks for the eye poke, guys. Appreciate that.
Man, yo, some of these lyrics, I fucking love some of the shit that he's saying on this album. I wrote down a couple of lyrics. The joint on Magnum Brand Remix, which, we didn't even talk about it. Ross G beat. Shout out
G, rest
to
in
Ross
peace.
G, rest in peace. That joint is dope. He said, bumping who shot ya, sit at the table with the goon posture, true mobster, something, Sukasa. Stalk a man in a mask like a doom poster. He's dope, man. He's really like he's not like a lyrical artist. He has an idiosyncratic style that is not based upon using poetic devices.
Yes.
Look out for our next review.
Yeah, same, right? Same, but yeah, like I really appreciate just even simple shit like watch how I put you on skates. It's the Haitian.
See, I'm glad you said the simple shit because that was the whole problem I had with Arm & Hammer. I felt like the lyrics were trying to intentionally go over my head.
A little too dense.
Yeah,
Like,
they definitely are.
It just, I felt like it's pretentious. I said that in the last review of Arm & Hammer. It's pretentious lyrics. I feel like the mark of a genius is breaking it down so that anybody can understand it. Not saying I didn't understand Arm & Hammer's lyrics. Somebody gonna put that in the comments.
You said word salad, and anytime you say that, it's so dismissive of the content.
All right, man. Maybe I was like shooting off a little bit. I ran that back.
I mean, did you read that? Did you read that article that I sent you about the a Marxist critique of the Arm & Hammer album? I put it in the group chat.
Did you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's in there.
It's a long article.
For people that don't know, some of us are leftists on here. Marxists.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah.
Rumor has it.
So I mean, I fuck with it. But yeah, he's like, yeah, don't put me on the FBI watch list. Yeah, we on it. We fucking with it. But yeah, I do like Mach style. Some of the shit, like I don't really care about like the bougie shit that a lot of people talk about, and sometimes that's why I gotta disconnect myself from West Side Gun, even though I like him. But you know,
bothers me less on here than it does with a lot of rappers, though. I don't, when Jay-Z's talking about like selling cryptocurrency, it just like goes over my head. It doesn't mean much to me. But when
it's bad.
When Mach Hommy does it, he has this really interesting contrast between Haiti, a place that has some of the worst material conditions on the planet, and this kind of very bougie, like, ironically, bougie means candle in French, which is the first track on the album.
Right.
Connection there. But it's very like, you have that contrast, and it is just this idea, it's like a bull in a china shop in a way. You have this guy who, wears a Haitian flag over his face, like walking into, some gallery in Montmartre somewhere.
Right.
And the contrast works for me. It works for me.
He also doesn't seem to do it in a way that I've always felt like. I was like, all right, Jay-Z, I'm glad that you finally found out about Basquiat or some shit. It's like he's not like that line from Pray for Haiti, like Julius Snabel near Van Gogh's grave. Like Julius Snabel is like a well-known artist within the artistic community, tremendously respected. And near Van Gogh's grave is a piece of art that he created. And just dropping that is like, oh, you had to know about that to know about that. And it's like just an ill thing to say.
Yeah, you know stuff.
You know what I mean? Like start off with that. Like I love that about him.
He says a lot of dope shit.
But he does, man. Like even when he's talking about shit like hat custom, rings custom, pants custom airwaves, airplanes, niggas fly. Won't you shut the fuck up? Shut the fuck up. Like just simple shit to me. He's able to freak it in a way that is just really dope sounding, even when the sentence is super simple and,
right.
and not
Styling,
not all that interesting.
Definitely damn good lyricist, like dead ass. You
Yeah.
can't take that away from him. Or would you rate this though, if you had to rate it?
Amongst his albums or amongst like
Just
as
amongst,
an album? Well,
how about this year?
It's a very short. Well, I got Pray for Haiti on my top 10 as a personal favorite because I enjoyed it.
That came out this year?
Yeah,
Oh,
in
man.
the beginning
that
of
one.
the year.
Prolific.
Yeah.
He's very prolific.
Missed that one.
I got that on my top 10. This might displace it for the same spot because I put it there not because like it not be word life. It might do that because like I like it as a Mach album, and Mach is just one of the artists. Not necessarily because like this album's an 8 and this one's a 7.9. This album is very short. It was only 23 minutes.
24 minutes, yeah.
24 minutes, 13 songs, and five of them were
interludes, yeah.
1 minute skits, interludes. I think I would give it a high 7, strong 8. I think it's really dope from top to bottom. There's not really any misses on this for me, and I particularly love some of the production. So yeah, I would say it's a strong showing from him. I rank it above Hard Lemonade, which came out I think last year, 2019. Twos, Let Twos, Bulletproof Low, Wapcon Joj, Duck Season. I rank it above those, and I really like those albums too. So, what about you?
Me? Oh, well, I'm sorry. Oh, what's the actual thing?
Go ahead, Spade.
Mr. Axel, please.
Oh, well, yes, I find the album quite a pleasurable listen now that you mention it. What?
Glad you brought that up.
But no, Money Magnets made me do a stink face like when that beat came in. So like as soon as I heard that, I was just like, all right, yeah, it's a wrap.
I'm gonna end the recording with that.
I'm gonna give this John actually the same rating you gave it. It's a strong 7 because the lyrics carry it. Once again, I do think the beats were kind of one note at time. It kind of like I'm like, yo, can I get some variety? But for the overall part, the lyrics hold up and it makes you, it enthralls you. It's kind of like that. This is a better version of something that I think Nas would try to do.
Oh yeah,
like seriously, like you know what? Not sidebar. I hate when people say the best lyricist in the world is Nas. That's the choice for people who don't listen to rap. Is Nas? I fucking hate that.
I mean, usually when people are talking about the best lyricists in the world, it's a nonsense conversation.
Exactly.
Anyways. Like you can't compare what Eminem is doing to what Mach is doing or what Nas is doing. They're all good at
Only
it. Only
Bone and Nelly. Sorry. But yes.
Secret House.
7 for me, a strong 7.
I hate numerical ratings. I've said this in every video.
You don't have to.
Comfortable 8 for me.
Oh, well, damn, he was uncomfortably.
8.
That's a high ranking for
it
you,
is, man.
Yeah, I like this album a lot.
That's the highest ranking of any album besides the Injury Reserve. You didn't give a number for Injury Reserve, but I have a feeling you really like that one.
That would be like, probably be a 9 for me. The JPEG Mafia might be a 10 for me.
Oh, I love the JPEG. You weren't there for that one.
I was not.
I put this, if I had to like rank the albums we've talked about on Secret House, like it's up there with the Arm & Hammer for me. Like
same.
It's like around there. I really
do like it.
Which Spade didn't like.
I don't like this.
I like this record a lot. I think it's great.
This is not art rap enough for Spade to dislike it. Spade's about to hate the next album that we're about to review, Secret House Against the World.
Y'all know me so well,
Secret
dog.
House.
I'm starting to learn that temperament, dog. Starting to learn that temperament. Money Magnets, Secret House.
Fuck the alt-right.
I already know. That I don't know what they